presently here in Clayton, Georgia. This is my first time actually looking at the actual old Main Street part of town. We're going to be eating at the Clayton Cafe there. But I'm going to be currently going down to where Keller Furniture is located. The reason is not to go buy furniture, but rather to see what's left of the Tallulah Falls Railroad. Keller Furniture is where their main depot for Clayton was once located. When it was the railroad closed in 1961, it was torn down. The depot was torn down. So yeah, I'm going to save you guys the walk, and I will be there in a minute or two. See y'all then. Alright, I'm now down at Old Livery Street, at the main intersection. Here's Keller Furniture. This is where the depot once stood. And, well, the railroad would have come in right here, I think. The land is level enough for a track to have come through right here, and the depot would have been pretty much in the same orientation that building's facing right there. It would have been this way instead of this way. But of course, when the railroad closed in 1961, they tore that down, so it's not here anymore. However, there is a mural depicting when the railroad reached Clayton on the other side of this building here. I'm not going to try crossing the street because I don't want to get hit, but I figured I'd show this before I head back up to get some lunch. It's a rather quick video for today though, so until I walk the trails up to, down to Tallulah. But there is the mural regarding the Tallulah Falls Railroad coming into Clayton right there. If those two cars are gone, I want to come back and try and get a picture of that, but if not, then oh well. But yeah, this is Railroad Preserver 2000 in Clayton, Georgia, out. Presently at the Rabun County Historical Society, which has a huge amount of memorabilia from the Tallulah Falls Railroad on display that was once at this museum at Rabun Gap, which is now sadly closed. Here's some of the stuff they built for the railroad. It's a little diesel hydraulic 240 or 242 Forney type engine. But yeah, we'll keep this in mind here. So yeah, here's all the stuff they had from the railroad here. It's nice that they've kept all this. Yeah, I'm going to try and photograph the little plaques, so when you guys watch the video, you can pause and read them. Yeah, but the railroad operated from the 1880s until 1961. Yeah, here's some of the artifacts they've saved from the railroad. There's an old bridge timber they saved right there. It's nice that they saved that. And here's a model of what one of those bridges would have looked like. A lot of them were torn down when the railroad closed. There's some of the photos here. Some of many that the society has of the railroad. And there's the bridge that crossed the gap in Tallulah Falls. I have a book covering the railroad and its history from its birth to its death. That's really good. It's called Tallulah Falls Railroad, A Photographic Remembrance. And here's a replica of what one of the bridge timbers would have looked like. Well, now that's neat. That would be interesting if they could get permission to get that on, say, one of the locomotives at the Tweedsea Railroad to see what it would sound like when blown on steam. They could probably get that worked out. That'd be neat. That'd be really neat. Be a good little fundraising event for the place. That's neat. Also, hello. Yeah, here's another trestle model. And there's an old railroad crossing sign from the railroad. And another thing I love about this is all the artwork that was made of this. It's nice. Oh, here's some photos of the railroad in color. I've never seen this. I'll get to them in a minute, but here's an old milepost sign. Milepost 35. And I think the Tallulah Falls was technically a subsidiary of the Southern. So yeah. And here is, and make sure I don't bump into anything, the Dillard George's semaphore signals right here, signal post, right there. Those are original, by the way. Those aren't replicas. Those are real. And what makes it more poignant is there is the real depot. About 20 or so years before the railroad closed. Of course, all the depots were probably in disrepair by the time of the railroad's closure because they stopped passenger service very, very early on. And there's one of the few color photos. And I think this is going into Tallulah Falls, but I could be wrong. And then here's all the photos of the railroad. And what's interesting is, here's the ones I'm interested in seeing because here's what I came back for. Here's the old Tallulah Falls passage through Tallulah Gorge before the dam was built. There's where they were building the new bridge. I think they dismantled the steel portion, but I'd imagine the pillars of the old bridge are still under the water. And here's the new bridge, which I photographed the remnants of. Only that portion there is still intact. They torched the rest. And there it is finished right there. And then there's Highway 441. I've photographed the bridge from roughly this angle, just at the opposite direction. And, well, yeah. There's still a little bit of the wood deck left, too, on the centralmost pillar. These like two little ties still sitting there. Sure, if they dove in the lake, they'd find other bits of track and rail that were dumped when they were replaced. But I think this is all the photos they have right here. I could probably spend hours looking at all this. Wiley Trestle. Look at that. I'm sure they've got photos of the railroad's death in here. And a few wrecks as well. Look at that. Sure you could find stuff from that now. There's where the railroad paralleled Highway 441. Oh wow, that's a really old picture. And there's Lakemont's depot right there. So yeah, it was most likely torn down when the railroad finally closed. It's a shame. But that's not a big depot. They could rebuild a replica of it if they wanted to. And it looks like a fairly simple design too. but I don't want to go through all the pictures. If you guys want to see more, I recommend looking at Tallulah Falls Railroad, A Photographic Remembrance. That's the book I have, and it has the same photos. There is Lakemont's original station sign right there. And here's a replica of what one of the ticket offices would have looked like right here. Unless they salvaged all this. Oh, wow. Hey. So these are from one of the only remaining passenger cars the railroad used. That's amazing. So that's all wood paneling from the cars. Oh, hey. And that right there is the most iconic photo of the railroad. That's what everyone recognizes when they see it. I'm going to get this little info placard here. And there is, let me get the camera back horizontal, one of the station box things. A cubby cabinet. So this is from Clayton's depot right here. You got a scale and then a train order hoop, signal flags, train board, flagman's hat. And then here's the end of the railroad right here. 1961. So even dieselizing didn't save them. Of course. Interesting thing. If they could have converted all the trestles to the one similar to the one crossing the lake, they might have been able to save on maintenance costs, but that was then and this is now. And understand, this is a very small part of this museum, and I'm going to go through the rest starting right now. Little update on the Rabun County Historical Society. I had to go back and get lunch, so the rest of the museum will be in store for another day. Sorry, y'all. So yeah, I will see y'all later, and the museum will be the next thing on my list of things to do here. So till then, I'll see y'all later.